So let's go through what we have for you today for NBA rumors. Let's start with Adam Silver talking about the one and done rule. And the one and done rule could, well, be done. And it should be. We know that Adam Silver has wanted to change this rule for a while. So Adam Silver says, quote, "We are ready to make that change. They want to eliminate the age limit for players entering the draft." So basically, we're going to go back to high schoolers being in the NBA or coming right out of high school into the NBA. The last player, I should say, the last class to do this was back in 2007, and then in 2008, if my math is correct, we had Michael Beasley, who was one of the first big-time one-and-done guys out of Kansas State. So this is a rule that's been around for a while. We're all pretty familiar with it. John Calipari has made his modern-day coaching career after it with all the one-and-dones that have been coming out of Kentucky. Personally, and this might be a small hot take, I like the one-and-done rule. I think it makes college basketball incredibly interesting, and also it forces kids to get one more year of real coaching before they come into the NBA. It takes away a lot of the stress. So instead of having Emmanuel Mudiay getting no coaching and coming to the NBA clearly not ready, you have someone like a Mo Bamba who might have come out of high school going right into the NBA. Instead, he got that 1 year of coaching at Texas under Shaka Smart, which will probably do him very well in the NBA. So I think it's good and bad for specific players, but overall, I think it's good, but I don't think it's good to force people to do something that they don't want to do. Though I think having the rule there did help a lot more prospects than ended up hurting. I mean, how many prospects could have instantly come out of high school over the past 5 years and made a 100% instant impact in the NBA? I think it's tough to argue in the modern day game that there are a lot of players like that, but, at the end of the day, it's fine. It'll be a good rule to make over. We have a comment coming in from Marcus Williams saying lol, using the word lit. I'm 23 years old. There's no way that I am too old to say that. Lit is a very commonly used phrase in 2018. I will not put up with this, Marcus. I will not put up with that. You can use lit. I can use lit. Maybe my dad can't because he's 58 years old, but that's another conversation for another day. Let's go on to our next rumor here. Karl-Anthony Towns and the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're working on a huge 5-year, $158 million rookie year extension. So we had a report in the beginning of the offseason that the Timberwolves and Karl-Anthony Towns were not in a good place, and that Karl-Anthony Towns wanted to get traded. The report was so intense, in fact, that we here at NBA Weekly did multiple segments on where Karl-Anthony Towns could go to get traded because the reports were that bad. The two were not in a good place. It was either Towns or Tom Thibodeau. That is what we had heard from Towns' camp, that it was pick one of us because the two cannot coexist at this point. Well, let me tell you, people, $158 million is a really easy way to solve a lot of issues. And it sounds a lot to me, and especially what we've heard this offseason, that the Timberwolves are siding 100% with Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, without a question, they are signing with Towns and they are building around him. Whether it was, him versus Thibodeau and then backing Towns and saying that they would choose Towns over Thibodeau. That was a report that came out afterwards. And then we have the whole Jimmy Butler versus Towns thing that came out last week. It seems that the Timberwolves are certainly choosing Towns. And if you look at this extension, 5 years, $158 million, we saw Devin Booker get that from the Suns. That's a pretty hefty extension to give to a guy who has had some pretty significant defensive issues over the past couple of years. But this is still Karl-Anthony Towns. He's still been averaging 21 points and 12 rebounds. At 22 years old, he was an all-star last year, one of the best young big men that we have in the NBA, one of the modern-day unicorns as well. So this would be a great move for the Timberwolves keeping Towns. It's just interesting to see them choose him basically over both Jimmy Butler and Tom Thibodeau. So we'll see how everything works out with the Timberwolves going forward. Still very interesting that we've had so much turmoil with this team after they finally made the playoffs after, 15 years of no playoffs for the Timberwolves? This is just what we've come to expect from a very shaky franchise over, since they've given up Kevin Garnett. It's been bad. All right, let's go to our next rumor here. Carmelo Anthony. Now, obviously, I've talked about Carmelo Anthony pretty heavily on this program, but it seems that the Miami Heat are actually a bigger option than people are giving them credit for. We thought that he was just going to go to the Rockets, and that was going to be that. But it seems that both Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem, two close friends of Carmelo Anthony, met with Melo in Vegas to try to convince him to come to the Heat. Now, that also tells me one thing, that if Dwayne Wade is pitching Carmelo Anthony to come to the Miami Heat, that means that Dwayne Wade is going to come to the Miami Heat as well, or just return and not actually retire. So that's really exciting that we could have Dwayne Wade coming back next season and him play with Melo. So it'll be good to see. I'm happy that Melo's actually looking at a place where he can enjoy playing basketball and not have the stresses of being called out publicly for not playing defense on a playoff team. But him in Miami would be a good spot. He'd average 25 shots a game, maybe not 25 points a game, but he would certainly shoot that much. But where do you guys think Melo will play next season? Type of 1 for the Rockets, a 2 for the Heat, a 3 for the Lakers, or just type of 4 because it doesn't matter because he's bad anyway, which is also a very viable option for Carmelo Anthony because you can make a sincere argument that it doesn't matter where Carmelo Anthony goes. He might just be a detriment to whatever team he ends up signing with. But that's just me being a little bit of a Melo hater at this point in his career. All right, let's get to our next one here. We got Clint Capela, who apparently rejected a massive offer from the Houston Rockets. Not as massive as Clint Capela may have wanted, but massive nonetheless. 5 years, $84 million deal he got from the Rockets and turned it down, which makes a lot of sense, seeing as Aaron Gordon, who's a way worse player than Clint Capela, got 4 years, $84 million from the Magic, and Clint Capela, who's one of the best defensive big men in the NBA last year and helped get the Rockets to the Western Conference Finals, would be making less than him a year with another year on top of what Aaron Gordon got. So it just is not a good mix at all. I still can't believe how much of the Rockets are playing hardball with Capela. We know that he wants a deal similar to Steven Adams, which is 5 years, $100 million. So I still think we end up with Capela back on the Rockets, but this whole contract situation between him and Houston is so strange to me. They'll give Chris Paul $160 million, but they won't pay Trevor Ariza or Luc Mbah a Moute or Clint Capela, but they're fine giving James Ennis a 2-year deal and bringing in Michael Carter-Williams? I really don't understand what's going on. I just don't get it. Let's move on to something else that I really don't understand. It's the Kawhi Leonard trade, and it seems that Pau Gasol is now very much in play as one of the deals for Kawhi Leonard. The Spurs are still pondering a couple different offers, but Pau Gasol being included in this trade is very interesting because for everything that we've known with this Kawhi Leonard situation, it's just you got to maneuver around this trade very interesting because the 76ers are a little bit up against the cap now with all the signings they've made this offseason. Obviously, the Spurs are up against the cap as well. So Pau Gasol being paid $16 million a year, you're going to have to do some shuffling. So this is the reported offer that has come in so far about Kawhi going to the 76ers. The Sixers would get Kawhi and Pau Gasol. The Spurs would get Robert Covington, Dario Saric, and then 3 first-round picks. So that has always been what the Spurs have wanted. They've wanted a bunch of young players and a bunch of picks. The 76ers have the assets, but I mean, if they can get Pau Gasol along with Kawhi Leonard and the only players they would have to give up is Robert Covington and Dario Saric, I'm stunned that the 76ers haven't already taken this deal. I mean, this is a fantastic deal for the 76ers. You get a great guy down low in Pau Gasol and one of the 5 best players in all of basketball when healthy, Kawhi Leonard. So it's an interesting deal to see, but I'm pretty stunned that the 76ers haven't already picked this up. And if you look at the 76ers lineup with Pau Gasol and Kawhi Leonard, Ben Simmons, Redick, Kawhi, Embiid, and Pau. That is a fantastic starting 5. That would be an amazing matchup with the Boston Celtics next year in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think you might be able to make an argument that that lineup could be better than the Celtics starting 5. Though we don't really know how good the Celtics are going to be next year. They could be as good as they were last year or health. I mean, there's still potential. They could be close to the Warriors level if Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward play up to the level that we know that they can. And if you're the Spurs, I mean, you get 2 really good young players along with those picks. You ended with Dario Saric. You ended with Robert Covington. So 2 very good players to help the Spurs get to the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some more rumblings about Kawhi going to the 76ers because, holy cow, that is a great deal for the Sixers getting Kawhi and Pau Gasol. I like that a lot. I hope they end up doing it. All right, we got to talk about Kevin Durant, people, because, he is, since he's gone to Golden State, Kevin Durant has gone off the cliff. He has turned into such a weird dude ever since he's gone to Golden State. I get that he doesn't care anymore and that he's just kind of doing his own thing and doesn't care what people say about him. But this is getting a little out of hand. So some kid who runs an Instagram account called @BucketCenter made an Instagram post saying 3 elite 2-way players but don't elevate a team. quite like LeBron or Steph due to their playmaking leadership deficiencies. He has Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis. Then Kevin Durant, a multi-million-dollar NBA basketball player, multi-millionaire NBA basketball player, commented on this kid's Instagram post and said, "Bruh, go sweep your dorm room. You don't know hoops. Stop tagging me in this trash." Well, Kevin Durant, your comment is trash, as is the way that you are patrolling Instagram looking for social media posts about you. He'd at least use a burner account, dude. Like, this is weird. This is so strange that he's stalking social media. This is like when you search yourself on Google to see what people are saying about you. This is a weird, weird thing for Kevin Durant to do. So I ask you guys, is Kevin Durant weak? Because this is the third or fourth time that Kevin Durant has gotten involved with some social media crap of him commenting towards people, making random posts about him. You are a huge international athlete who currently plays for the best team maybe ever created, and this is how you're spending your free time? This is a very strange thing for Kevin Durant to do. I cannot get a thumb or put a finger on what Kevin Durant is trying to do. I don't understand. Let me know in the comment section. I'm seeing a lot of snakes going on right now, and I think I want to see a couple cupcakes in the comments as well. This is a cupcake Instagram comment by Kevin Durant. We'll get back to those NBA rumors after this quick message.
What's going on? Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. I know you're here for NBA rumors, but NFL and fantasy football season is right around the corner. Follow me on Twitter, @MitchellRenz365. Hit me up with any fantasy questions, and don't be afraid to slide in those DMs so I can help you build your own fantasy super team. Now, back to NBA Weekly.
I could talk about Kevin Durant being weak until the cows come home, but there are other things that we need to discuss involving the NBA. Let's start with Portland going on with their new contract with Jusuf Nurkic. Apparently they were bidding against themselves and ended up signing Jusuf Nurkic to a massive, massive deal. Not massive enough to end up on my top 10 worst free agent signings, because I think $12 million a year for Jusuf Nurkic is a totally fine price for a guy of his skill set, but they were under the impression that multiple teams were going after Jusuf Nurkic, but apparently they were just getting played by Nurkic's agent, who just got him $50 million. The Trailblazers' original plan with Nurkic was to pay him around $30 to $35 million a year on a 3 to 4 year contract, which is still an okay number. I think it's a little bit of an underpay for a guy, like I said, of his skill set, but 4 years, 48 was not in their original plans, especially with the fact that the Portland Trailblazers, along with the Miami Heat and a couple other teams in the NBA, maybe the Denver Nuggets as well, are in the worst cap situation of anyone. The Trailblazers cap is so terrible. It is literally as if someone put their salary cap in a garbage can and lit it on fire. It is horrifyingly bad. Myers Leonard's on a terrible contract. Evan Turner's on a terrible contract. Now they have Jusuf Nurkic on a huge deal. I don't know what the Trailblazers are doing, but they got to get this figured out fast before Damian Lillard requests a trade to the Lakers. It's going to happen sooner rather than later, but you didn't hear that from me. All right, let's go to our next rumor here. Mario Hezonja is apparently huge now. He's 240 pounds, which is ridiculous, seeing as he came into the NBA at 190. He has gained 50 pounds of both muscle and, well, I hope mostly muscle, since he's come into the NBA. He's actually gotten bigger in general. He came into the NBA as a 6'4", 6'5" guy. He's now grown about 50 pounds and a couple more inches as well. The plan right now with Mario Hezonja, and I think this is going to make Knicks fans happy, the plan is to play him at the point forward position like he did for the last half of the season with the Orlando Magic. Now, he is only on a 1 year, $6.5 million deal with the Knicks, which is the contract that I absolutely love. He's actually in my top 10 best free agent signings segment that we have in a little bit coming up. But I think that what the Knicks are going to do with Hezonja is going to be great for his career. I'm really excited to see him in that point forward spot along with Kevin Knox and Kristaps and Frankie Smokes. They have a really good young core, and I think that if Hezonja has another good season, they could add him long-term to that core. So we'll see what happens with Mario, but man, him sitting at 240 is really, really impressive. So Steph Curry recently had a kid, and he also decided to sit down for a conversation with USA Today, talking about what's going on in his life with the Lakers, as well as the new DeMarcus Cousins signing. So let's go through what Steph Curry said about DeMarcus Cousins. He said, quote, "I like a motivated and driven DeMarcus coming back from this injury." Curry also said that he's excited about the different styles that DeMarcus Cousins will let them play. He also isn't worried about the locker room issues that Cousins has had in the past. Now, I don't agree with that at all. I think that A, the second and third note that we have there with him being excited about the different styles, and C, isn't worried about the locker room, are two huge, huge lies. I think that the play style that they're going to have to use with DeMarcus Cousins is going to be very, very risky. I mean, the amount of legitimate styles that this team is currently trying to, put under one roof is a lot. They have their three-point shooting game, between Curry and Clay and the different picks that they like to do. They have the Kevin Durant ISO ball that they've been going around. They have the Draymond Green-led offense. Now they're going to do a post-style offense with DeMarcus Cousins. None of this really fits together. I understand the Durant signing and bringing in his offense to what the Warriors are doing, but I still don't see how Cousins fits onto this team. But I guess we'll see how that works when the season starts. But let me know in the comments section how many games the Warriors will win next season. Could be a lot, people. I'm talking maybe upwards of 70 plus if Cousins comes back fully healthy, but still have to see if they can win the finals. I think they'll win 60 plus games next season. I think they kind of faded down the stretch last year and it didn't get them to the overall win total that we expected. But I think that we'll see them get back to that 60 win mark this year.